Hello and welcome to today's video. Now, I often receive comments where people say to me, Jules, I cannot believe the variety of stuff that you actually collect. And what we're looking at today is not something that perhaps I'm not actively collecting them, but I've definitely got a very keen interest in them. And I do actually have a small collection of what we're about to look at, which is postcards from the First World War. So these well over 100 years old now, I think are absolutely fascinating. And I do have some related books that we're going to take a look at as well. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay then, so we're starting off with this one, which is British Postcards of the First World War, and this is by it's by Peter Doyle. It's published by Shire, and this one is still in print. So all the books we're going to be having a look at today, I took the liberty of checking if they're still actually available, and you can find all of these, but not all of them brand new. So as you probably seen, if you go to Amazon and you look for a book which is no longer in print, they have lots of like second-hand book dealers on there where they would offer you used copies. So I'll put full links to everything we're going to be having a look at today in the description down below. But this one is still readily available, and this was, I think, the first book I ever sort of picked up on First World War postcards. It's a really really good sort of general introduction to the subject. And it's just sort of, it depends how much detail, of course, you want to go into. But I think this is just a really accessible way to do it. Some of the ones I particularly like are ones where they show all the different sort of flags of the nations, the Allied nations and the Axis. But of course, the most poignant thing about First World War postcards is when you find one which has got something original written on the back, and it's come potentially right from the trenches. And because of the censor, the messages that you tend to get aren't exactly high literature, and they don't go into details on the battles and that, because they just weren't allowed to. It would have been immediately destroyed by the censor. But lots of these particular ones, so a soldier would be off to war and he'd have the multiple opportunities to go into a photographer's studio before he left and get a few postcards with him in uniform made up and printed, which he could then send home from the trenches. And that's sort of how it worked. And there's also lots of famous cartoonists here. Here's a famous one there. It says Dudley Buxton's take on trench life from Inter Arts Comique series. So it's signed there, Dudley Buxton. And there's lots of comedic ones as well. And there were ones that were released as series by various newspapers as well. Very, very, very good. And this is a massive, massive area of collecting if you want to go down this rabbit hole. One of the most famous is Captain Bruce Barnesfather. And these are examples of his sort of style of cartoon, sort of laughing at the predicament that the soldiers found themselves in, and they were released as little sets like this, Fragments from France. That was what his series was called. And thankfully, there are many books where you don't actually need to go out and get the originals. You can just enjoy them in sort of book form, which is a lot cheaper. But there are people who collect them, and this is exactly what you'd sort of find with the postcards. This is what they would be looking at, and they passed by the censor there. That's the sort of thing we're looking for. Very, very interesting genre to collect. It really is. Now, these were called silks. So these were often made by the women, sometimes in the countries where the conflicts were going on. And these are much more collectible and expensive. Some of these I've seen go for hundreds of pounds, believe it or not. And you can see that, look at that one there, the level of work that's gone into that, because that's all like hand sewn. So the silks are ones which are particularly sought after. Now this one here, this is the King and Queen. So this would be sent virtually to every single serviceman, would have like a postcard from the King or Queen. And if you're in the army, you got that version of it. And if you're the Navy, you got the other version. So there's a few variations on that one. And then one's on the home front for people who were back home but trying to support the troops whilst they were in the front. So I think this particular volume is a real good introduction to it. Some people collect these by regiments, by a particular regiment. And then there's lots of, this is after the war, lots of like memorial ones. And they came in, once again, there's lots and lots of little sets that you can pick up, which were produced at the time. We're like 12 or 25 postcards in, and they're all period ones as well. So if you're at all interested in it and you'd like to know a bit more about the history, that particular one there by Shower Books is a really good one, and possibly worth tracking down. Very easy to get. Now this next one here, I remember when this one was published, Postcards from the Trenches. This is a nice little hardback by Andrew Roberts. This one is actually out of print now, but once again, very easy to find through Amazon, through the second-hand dealers. And there's a few in this sort of series, this sort of format, which I particularly like, because they're sort of postcard size. So we just flick through, and these really are. It's the full postcards with what was printed on the back. And it gives you a little bit of historical context about them. Very interesting indeed. And they're not just British ones, they're from all around the world. And I think you'll agree, this is a really great way to have a look. I mean, some of these are just terrific. They really are, and so poignant. It's really something, isn't it? So Postcards from the Trenches. Quite something, this one. A colour one there, or tipped in sepia colour. This is a Daily Mail one. As I said, a lot of the national newspapers did do their own sort of series of postcards, which they were encouraging people to collect. Incredible, aren't they? They really are. They're just little windows into the conflict, little glimpses. That's particularly the handwritten ones. It's like, it's just something about them. So yeah, there's a lot in there to enjoy. It's not a history of the genre by any means, or the collecting field. It is very much an example of some really great ones. So I think you might enjoy tracking that one down. This next one here, the First World War, the Postcard Collection. This is by Nigel Sadler. And once again, it's a bit more advanced than the Shire book, but plenty of examples. And once again, it sort of views the war chronologically. There's some silks there, silk postcards. And you just need to jump on to somewhere like eBay and type in First World War postcards, and you'll see what some of these are actually selling for, and you'll just see an incredible array. Many postcards would be unique, of course, with a particular soldier on, so there's only one of a kind. Others would have been mass produced. So once again, this has got some really great examples. It's nicely produced, this book. Nice colour where the colour is actually required. And once again, quite a nice sort of way to have a look at the subject. Now the next two I've got, well, the last two are actually much bigger, so I'll pull the camera out. Okay, so this is the best of fragments from France, and this is quite an old edition of this one, but you can buy it brand new. And these were by Bruce Bonfather again, and he's the he's so collectible, and his original postcards are highly collectible as well. But you can pick them up if you want. They're not a fortune, but there's a lot of them, and really nice examples go for good money. But you can see his artistic style, and he was always the poor disgruntled Tommy. And this is a great way to look at them, and it does give you the context as well, so it tells you what the postcard is actually referring to, and that's almost essential with these old ones now. You need to, if you're not an expert in the First World War history wise, then having a little explanation goes a long way. This one's obviously a good book because, as I said, it's remained in print, and you can get the new edition now, but this is just one I picked up off eBay. It was very cheap, just a few pounds, and I thought it was a really nice way to enjoy it. The postcards are much larger than obviously what they were when they were first printed, but he was a bit of a national institution with with his Tommy characters. So yeah, Bruce Bonfather. If you ever come across any of those, then you'll know they are highly regarded as some of the very best to come out during the First World War. So as I said, I got this one really cheap. It was just off eBay. It was literally just about $3.99, like including the postage and packing. But there is a brand new edition if that's what you'd like. And I've got one more book to show you before I show you my postcards, and it's this one, another huge tome, Till the Boys Come Home. And this is probably the most comprehensive one that I've got. So that's a big old hardback. This one is long out of print, and this was the only one I found that was actually a little bit expensive to buy. All the rest of them are, less than a tenner each, so they're not expensive. But this one, I only found one online. It was like £25, so you might need to wait until a slightly cheaper one turns up. But I think this one was, the examples that you're going to see here were all pulled from various archives around the world, and it's not just British. And as you can see, it's a real work of art, this. And as I said, it's the most comprehensive one that you'll see today. Hundreds of postcards are illustrated here, and it is a particularly nice hardback. There is a paperback edition which you might be able to find online, but this is a sort of book, because you're going to look at it quite a bit, I would imagine you'll want to pick up the hardback if you can find it. But it's fairly old, this one as well. I'm not sure. It must have come out possibly in the 1980s. But it's a good one. It's worth tracking down. This is the best one I've got. And there's the fragments from France again. Nice to have the sort of related memorabilia as well. Early days of the Royal Flying Corps, RAF. Yeah, it's really something, isn't it? It's a good book, this one. I said hundreds of postcards are illustrated, and there's lots of history to it as well. And I think that's, if you want to really go into detail on different aspects of the conflict, then this is the way to go. But some of these is just incredible. Look at the artwork, just superb. And these are highly, as you would imagine, highly collectible. Patriotic ones. Different generals. Got a Churchill there. It's great, isn't it? So yeah, nice book, this one, but a little bit harder to track down. Just see when 1977 it first came out, and this actually is the first printing from 1977. So as I said, it is out of print now, but I saw copies. I think the cheapest one I saw was £25, but it's, you might just need to be patient on that, but I'm sure one will come along. Okay, so here's the start of looking through my own personal collection. So this was the one that pretty much every British serviceman got, and it was the one from the King and Queen. And this is the Army one, so I'm assuming this would have gone out to Army personnel with all best wishes for Christmas 1914. May God protect you and bring you home safe. To Matt and Lily from Bill. Commander Reynolds, 1st something regiment. Can't quite make it out. The problem I do have with some of these, and I'm pretty good at trying to decipher what a postcard might say, is that some of them are actually quite tricky to decipher. But there you go. But that's quite a common one, because every serviceman would have been sent that one. This one, look, Sketches of Tommy's Life in Training, number 3. So this would have been part of one of those series. Getting your cup of tea in the morning was exciting. It was exciting as a battle. Oh, and this one actually was used Thursday night. My dearest Ethel. I noticed this one never actually got posted, so whether it actually made it home, I don't know. No luck up to now. I'm sweating every day for it. I thought you would like this card, so you will see what an exciting time it is here. To get up in the morning. To get a cup of tea. That's referring to the cartoon. But never mind. I'll see that you all have a cup in the morning when you come back. Oh yes, I'll see you get a cup of tea. Just got Mrs. Reed's Ham's card. As promised. All for now. Kiss chicks for me. Love to all. your loving Mary. Blimey, lots of kisses. Wowee. So that, in actual fact, wow, that's really something, isn't it? That's quite something. I'm surprised I was able to read it, in all honesty. So this is, that looks like a Bruce Bonfather, doesn't it? Yeah. It is a Bruce Bonfather. This is one of his cartoons. When one would like to start an offensive on one's own. Recipe for feeling like this. Bully biscuits, no Coke, and leave just cancelled. That's unused, that one. And it's from Fragments from France, series number 7. So as I said, the really famous illustrators, they did have their own sort of postcard series, really, you know. This one here, look. This is a hell of a world. We want peace. It's the 5 babies crying there. This one's seen a bit of wear. Once again, quite a bit of writing on the back there, which I won't read all of that, but interesting. Oh, here's another Bruce Bonfather. Coiffure in the trenches. Keep your head still or have your blinking ear off. The missile going over the top there. That was from Fragments from France, series 2. And you can see how people might be tempted to collect a few of these, you know. Fido does, so you want to go. Enlist today. So this is a little, you know, patriotic one to get people to enlist. Mrs. Clark. Wishing you the best of luck today. Dear Winnie. Here's a similar one. I don't think this was opened by the censor. Oh, look, it's passed by the censor. Censor number 1029. Dated the 20th of, I assume that's July 1915. So this was From the Trenches to Mrs. M. Cobb, Stone Green Farm in Kent. And there we are, look at this. Dear Millie, I'm so glad you're quite well. Oh, blimey. These are like little time capsules, aren't they? From Men at the Front. Here's a fountain pen, a dictionary, a postcard, and halfpence to buy a stamp. Now, let me hear from you. So I guess this was given to servicemen to make sure that they did write home. Mrs. D. Reeve, Dorothy. Hope you're enjoying your holidays. We are having awful weather here. Nora Andrews was not first in class, was third, not first in class. Rita and I went to the pictures yesterday. They were spiffing. Best love, Barbara. So I don't think that's come from the front, but it is 21st of April, 1918. Wow. It was spiffing, she said. Look, the Russian flags. Look at that, Imperial Standard. National flag and the naval flag. Mrs. Sanderson in Hull. Look at that. Look at tiny writing. When night sets and the sun is down, look at this. The soldier leading the blind soldier along. R. Catton Woodville painted that one. And that's unused. And the last one I've got is this one, which, as I said, I like the ones with the flags on. The flags of the Allies. Really, really nice and colourful. December 25th, 1914. To Dear Winnie, with love and best wishes from Eddie. There we are, let's sent on Christmas Day, 1914. How incredible is that? Wow. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed looking through those original World War I postcards and also the books related to them. I think it's a fascinating subject if you've got the time to look into it, and certainly some poignant memories. And I think if you're a student of the First World War, they're just absolutely amazing to look at, and real historical artifacts. If you have enjoyed today's video and you like seeing these like unusual sorts of collections, do please give the video a thumbs up. Do please hit that subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage content, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.